Greetings, traveler. Here are 8 weapons that got a full redesign in Skyblivion. Stay till the end and enjoy watching. Burz's Glass Mace is a leveled unique weapon used by Burz Grokash, the Fighters Guild head in Cheydinhal. In Oblivion, it looks exactly like a regular glass mace and only differs by stats and name. In Skyblivion, this mace becomes its own artifact. Instead of one big patterned glass head, we get a slim metal shaft with minimal decoration and a large green crystal set in a cone at the top, plus a smaller crystal on the pommel. The silhouette feels closer to a magic scepter than to a classic blunt weapon. At the same time, the normal glass mace in the Skyblivion glass set looks different. A dark handle with twisted sections and a heavy multifaceted lantern-like glass head. It keeps the glass theme but has its own shape. Apotheosis is one of the strongest destruction staves in Oblivion, sold in the Imperial City, and combining several elements in one blast. In the original, it looks like a wild tree branch, a fully wooden staff with twisted fingers. All the magic is in the stats, not in the model, and you can mistake it for a random druid staff. In Skyblivion, Apotheosis is redesigned as a constructed arcane focus rather than a wooden stick with an enchantment. The shaft is built from layered ruined metal and aged wood, reinforced with worn copper rings, giving it a clear sense of structure and purpose. At the top, twisted metal claws physically grip a glowing blue gemstone, making the crystal the visible source of power instead of a decorative element. When used, the staff will most likely project a strong magical effect that visually reinforces its destructive power, making Apotheosis feel as dangerous as its stats suggest. Sufferthorn is a bonus dagger from the Dark Brotherhood for a perfect accidents happen run. In Oblivion, it looks basically like a normal elven dagger, the same golden green style, just with a different name and enchantment. In Skyblivion, it's rebuilt from scratch. The blade is straight and narrow with a spiral twist, like a drill. The handle is made from polished green segments held together by metal, with a wide guard and its own matching scabbard. So it stops being an elven dagger with good stats and becomes a distinct, sharp tool that visually fits the name Sufferthorn. And one quick thing before we move on, if you enjoy how I break these weapons down, the details, the visual design, please consider subscribing. More than 90% of people watching these videos aren't subscribed, and I'd really love to have you here for the next ones. Thank you. Staff of the Everscamp is a Daedric staff from the quest Whom Gods Annoy that makes scamps constantly follow its owner. In Oblivion, it looks like a stretched piece of Daedric metal, dark, half-melted texture, and on top, a tangled lump of scamp shapes that are hard to read one by one. In Skyblivion, the staff gets a wooden base with small spikes along the shaft, and on top you can clearly see several scamps sitting back to back with bright red eyes. Instead of a blurry Daedric mass, it's now a readable wooden staff with a distinct group of scamps on the head. Umbra is the famous cursed sword linked to the warrior Umbra, whom we meet in the Ayleid ruins of Vindasal during Clavicus Vile's quest. In original Oblivion, it's a long, straight greatsword of almost solid black, a wide blade with one simple fuller, a dark, minimal guard, and a handle without strong details. In Oblivion Remastered, Umbra stays largely faithful to the original design, but gains a small purple crystal set into the guard, a subtle detail that echoes the purple accents seen on Umbra in Skyrim. In Skyblivion, the blade is fully reimagined, the edges remain metallic, but the center now looks like an inlaid black soul gem rather than simple decoration. The guard turns into a chaotic mass of obsidian spikes and skull silhouettes, through which purple energy during a strike seems to flow from the blade inward, visually emphasizing the moment a soul is absorbed. The grip resembles a faceted crystal, finished with a black pearl pommel, turning Umbra into what it always should have been, one giant soul trap given form. Battle Axe of Hatred in Oblivion looks almost like a basic iron battle axe. In Skyblivion, the axe is completely reimagined. The simple iron head is replaced with an asymmetric, aggressive blade covered in dark engravings. One side is heavier and sharper, while the other curves inward, creating an unbalanced, hostile silhouette. A twisted metal spine wraps around the shaft, visually choking it, which reinforces the idea of rage and corruption. The handle becomes darker and more refined, with metal fittings and a sharpened spike at the bottom. Instead of a generic axe, Battle Axe of Hatred now looks like a weapon forged specifically to embody anger and malice. In Oblivion, the Blackwater blade is visually almost identical to a fine steel longsword. The proportions, blade shape and materials are the same, with the only real distinction being a small emblem on the crossguard that sets it apart from standard fine steel weapons. For context, this is exactly how a regular fine steel longsword looks in Skyblivion. Clean proportions, restrained engravings, and a very classic Cyrodiilic knightly silhouette. Skyblivion then builds the Blackwater blade on top of that base. The blade gains subtle etched lines near the hilt and a colder, heavier steel finish. The crossguard becomes slightly more curved and expressive, while the pommel receives a distinct emblem that anchors the design. It's still a believable steel weapon, not an over-designed artifact, but now it clearly reads as a named blade with its own identity. Compared to Oblivion Remastered, which mostly improves materials and lighting, Skyblivion actually adds character, turning the Blackwater blade from a generic sword into something you can recognize at a glance. In original Oblivion, the Cursed Mace is visually just a standard Daedric mace. Skyblivion takes a very different approach and turns it into something that truly looks cursed. The head becomes a massive skull-like form, fused with jagged Daedric blades and cracked, uneven surfaces. Dark metal still dominates the design, but now it's layered with engraved lines and warped shapes that feel unnatural, as if the weapon was grown rather than forged. The shaft is slimmer and more restrained, pulling all attention toward the brutal, intimidating head of the mace. But this is still far from everything Skyblivion's developers have prepared for us. If you enjoyed this breakdown, stay on the channel, leave a like, and tell me in the comments which redesign impressed you the most. And in return, I'll keep digging deeper and bringing you more high-quality content from the world of the Elder Scrolls. See you in the next videos.